Hello, guys. We are finally back. I know it's been a minute since our last mock draft, but we are here again. The off season continues. Cody and I can't speak for Cody, but I'm just waiting day by day for the draft.
I'm
And
excited, dude.
yeah, we're ready to kick it off this time. Likely with some trades today. Cody and I are going to go back and forth. I'm going to have the odds today. I get that number one pick. Cody's going to take the evens, and we're going to do a whole first round of the mock draft. And yeah, like I said, we might throw some trades in there. We might get a little spicy, get a little crazy in this mock draft today. But I am very excited, and I don't know if I just go right into it here with the number one pick, Cody. Did you
Yeah,
have something you wanted to say before we start?
yeah. I just want I just wanted to apologize for it's been a couple weeks since our last one, so like the band Disturbed, I was down with the sickness, so had to miss a few weeks here, but we're back. Jack, you'll have the odd picks this time. I had the odd picks the first time, and I'm really excited to see how picks change. Our first one was done before the combine and free agency. Um, so I have a feeling these picks are going to look a lot different than they did a couple weeks ago. But yeah,
That's
like you
great,
said,
brother.
without further ado, I mean, let's just get right into it. Jack, you are on the clock here with the Tennessee Titans.
I'm on the clock here with the Tennessee Titans, and my theory for the start of the offseason was that this pick is going to be traded and likely to a team like New York, who only sits two spots behind them, who needs a quarterback. And then the GM for New York, Joe Schoen, decided to sign Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. And I don't think that takes him out of the quarterback conversation, but it likely stops them from trading up to number one.
Yeah,
And
I don't think it takes them out either. I think New York just realizes I don't think they're going to have the ability to move up. I think Tennessee put the price tag on this pick. They want 3 first rounds in return. So
yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Not only does that take New York out of trading up, but I think that the more that I listen to analysts and insiders talk about this first pick with Tennessee here, I think they actually really like Cam Ward, and they're just they want him. Like if they're gonna have to move from Cam, you have to give them, like you said, an arm and a leg. Like whoever gives them this man is gonna be walking on crutches. So I think that they just stick here, and this seems like the consensus pick. I know it's chalk, but yeah, you have the potential to get a franchise guy in Cam Ward, who's potentially the best quarterback in this draft class in a really overall weaker quarterback class. So I think you just stick and pick and take him.
locking it in. We got Cam Ward going one. Yeah, I had him first, and and my mock here too.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem to be the consensus here. I think Tennessee and Cam Ward, they have a mutual interest. It kind of seems like every day that goes by, this pick gets more and more sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not gonna. I agree. That's who I have going to. So now I'm on the clock here. Pick two, Cleveland Browns, and it's an interesting situation we find ourselves in Cleveland here. Obviously, big need quarterback. However, I don't think Cleveland necessarily likes any of the guys. And Cam Ward already gone here, which we kind of all assume is going to happen. And I saw the other day Adam Schefter
Our boy
said that
Adam.
Cleveland is leaning towards drafting edge rusher out of Penn State, Abdul Carter here. And that's who I'm going to mock here. Could they go Sanders? Sure, but I don't think they do. I think the ultimate game plan here is get Carter, put him on the other side of Miles Garrett, and
Unleash
you
hell.
have you have an early second round pick. So I could see them, with an early second round pick, maybe grabbing a guy like Milrow or Jackson Dart or whoever might still be there. I think Abdul Carter's the pick here, though.
Yeah, I like it. In my mock, I also have them punting on quarterback at 2. I think it's very likely. Well, I won't say very likely, but it's not out of the conversation that they try and acquire a guy like barring his money, a guy like
Yeah,
Kirk Cousins.
yeah, I was going to bring that up too. It sounds like Cleveland is at most play for Kirk Cousins if a deal does happen there. Which, if you draft Carter, trade for Kirk Cousins, and I mean, I still wouldn't weigh out taking one of those second round guys, but if you get Kirk and draft Carter here, I mean, Cleveland roster wise really isn't a bad team.
Mm-mm.
I don't think at all.
This is a team that had Joe Flacco make a very real
Yeah.
playoff push.
I
Like
mean,
a very real
Jameis
playoff.
Winston last year had a couple great games last year for them.
Yeah. So I think it's a team that leans on their defense and their playmakers. I really see them going Travis Hunter there at 2, but obviously Abdul Carter's like, it's not like, oh, they have to take Travis. I probably would take Travis, but I like the pick with Abdul Carter. I mean, Abdul Carter and Myles Garrett on the same team is just insane.
Yeah. I mean, plus you got to think you're going to play Lamar twice a year. You got to play Burrow twice a year.
Got to control those guys.
Whoever Pittsburgh ends up drafting, or not drafting, maybe that was a Freudian slip there, whatever that word is, or signing. Whoever they end up, put behind center. But even just Burrow and Jackson alone, you got to play them 4 total times. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to put Carter on the other side of that defensive line opposite Myles Garrett.
Yep. All right, I'm at number 3, Cody, and I hate to be all chalk. I know the chalk is it's gonna leave soon. It's gonna start to get a little colorful here once we get to picks. Once we get out of the top 3, it's gonna become a lot less chalk when we get to put our own input on things. But the Giants are they're crossing their fingers that Travis doesn't go at pick 2. I think that's all they're doing. As much as Abdul Carter would be great to fall to 3, they don't need that much more help on the edge. New York's defensive line and pass rush is like the only good thing on that team right now. Not that Abdul wouldn't help you, but they're fine. They're fine defensively. But where they do need help on the defense is corner, and they also could really use a legitimate flash star player on offense. I mean, obviously they have Malik Neighbors. But if you could get Travis Hunter to play as a corner for you and come in red zone situations on offense and just be that gadget to kind of highlight a guy like Malik, then I don't think it matters who's throwing him the football, whether it's Russell or Jameis or Tommy Cutlets. You just draft him here at 3. Then it's the chalk pick, but it just makes the most sense to me.
And well, this is where it's going to get interesting now for me on the clock here at 4, because I actually had Hunter going forward in New England here.
We also we should also acknowledge the fall of Shedeur right now. Shedeur did not go at 3.
This is where it's going to get interesting, because the thing is, and I'm seeing a lot, if Shedeur doesn't go top 3, he might make it out of the first round. Does he ultimately? Probably not. A team probably trades up. There's a team.
I will not allow that to happen.
We'll talk about later who's drafted in the 20s who needs a quarterback. But yeah, so now we kind of got to go back to the drawing board here in New England, because the guy I had mocked there at 4 went at 3. And it seems like the New England mindset with this pick isn't necessarily drafting your biggest need, but they said they're going to draft kind of best available. However, I think you got to kind of keep both things in mind here. You want, best available, but you also want biggest need. So with that being said, I'm going to kind of go, you got a young QB. You just got Stephon Diggs. I mean, I don't think they go McMillan here. I'm going to draft a guy who's going to help, further bolster our offensive line, protect our young quarterback. I think the pick here is going to be Will Campbell out of LSU. New England's offensive line was, bottom of the league last year. They signed a few guys, but I think bringing in Will Campbell is just going to solidify that offensive line a little more. Like I said, give May a little more protection. And, I think New England will look maybe, second or third round to get their receiver in the draft.
Yeah, I think this is also kind of the Patriots taking their medicine on reaching for Cole Strange in the first round a a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So you gotta help out Drake May. And Vrabel came out even in the sense this offseason and said that we need help. Obviously, he did say that we have to get Drake May more weapons, which
Hmm.
he went out and he signed Stephon Diggs. So wide receiver is not as big as an issue anymore. You could look for a guy like that down the
Sure.
board. But trenches,
I was gonna
you
say
gotta
Vrabel's a big win in the trenches kind of guy.
yeah,
This just seems like a Vrabel pick here.
you need to bolster that offensive line a little bit more. So I like the pick, and I got the Jags here at 5. Uh Jacksonville. Well, I think Jacksonville's probably pretty happy that you didn't take T Mac off the board there at 4. Obviously, Jacksonville could use help on the interior of their defensive line, but you lose some wide receiver depth in the offseason. You see Christian Kirk go. Obviously, you have Brian Thomas Jr., who looked great last season, but I mean, you need another guy. I might not. This might be like a little bit out of the ordinary, whatever. But I am very high on Tedero McMillan. I think that he's like
Mhm.
far and away the best wide receiver in this draft. Um, you know,
No,
outside of
I'm a big T Mac guy here too.
outside of the Travis Hunter, what do you call him? Is he wide receiver? Is he whatever? Uh, T Mac is just a freak. People are so concerned too, by the way, about his 40 time, and I'm like, dude, if you watch this guy, like,
The dude's like 6'5", 230, and he ran like a 4.5. Like it's not like that's not
yeah,
slow. Like I don't
yes,
think the speed is as big a problem as people are making it out to be.
yeah. I don't know. You watch this guy, and he is just absolutely insane.
It's
I,
dog.
I he played volleyball in high school. I just think that's so fun. Like just a random fact that he's just like this baller. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take him here at 5. You get another piece to help out that offense a little bit more. I love it. I love T Mac.
All right. Well, this is now, on the clock here, 6 with Las Vegas. This is now 2 picks in a row that you took the guy I had mocked. I originally did have T Mac going here at 6 to Las
To the
Vegas,
Raiders.
but I was not
sniping,
there. So back to the drawing board again. Things.
sniping picks already, dude. Like
Uh,
Chris
so I
Kyle
mean,
out here.
so I'm gonna have to, make my second choice here, which is, in turn gonna hurt me down the road because I have this guy mocked to a different team. It
There he
seems like a
goes.
popular pick. This pick's gaining a lot of steam. Las Vegas, they really like this guy. There's a bunch to like about this guy. You got Geno, but you really need some help on offense. You don't get T Mac here, but you do get Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, that's another kind of what's becoming the chalk pick, I believe.
Yeah,
Which a couple months ago it was like, oh, you're taking Gene T at 6, and it's like, bro, he's probably
it
he's a
seems to
top 3
me
player in the
that
draft. Like, what
yeah, it
what are
seems to me
you
it's this pick here is gaining a lot of steam,
like? Do you want Zamir
especially with
White?
Pete
You want
Carroll now.
Zamir White as your RB1? Like, what do you
Exactly.
want back there?
You got Pete Carroll there. Pete Carroll loves to run the ball. I'm sure Pete Carroll would love to have a guy like Jane T in his backfield.
Yeah, I don't think that Shador is totally out of that conversation if he falls to 6 either,
I
though.
don't think either. Um,
You got Geno,
you
and I
trade it
like
for
Geno.
Geno. You know, Pete Carroll and Geno have some history there together. Geno knows the system. Pete Carroll knows that he knows the system. I'm not a Shador here to 6. I don't really think that happens, even if he falls. I think they roll with Geno. I think they like Geno. But let's get Geno some help because that offense could use it.
New York Jets here are on the clock, and they signed Justin Fields to a 2-year, $40 million contract.
Something like that, yeah.
It's 20. It's like just around $20 million a year. It's probably among, if not the cheapest quarterback contract for a starting quarterback in the league right now. This Shador fall is interesting because is a team going to want to take him and cook him? Because the Jets are definitely in that conversation. And I don't know about you. I don't like Justin Fields. I don't like him. And if you're a New York Jets fan, are you really excited that you signed Justin Fields? Like, you're a Packers fan. You saw the games where Justin Fields is just choking away for the Bears, and it's like, oh, it's the Bears. He wasn't given a real chance. Then he goes to Pittsburgh. He loses the starting job to an aging Russell Wilson. Oh,
Should he have though?
but 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 should he have? Because
Should he have?
he played in those 4 games at the end of the stretch. Yeah, you know what he did in his last 3 games as a starter for Pittsburgh. He scored 20 or less points. He led his team to 20 points or less in the last 3 games. I think that he is what haters thought Lamar Jackson was, but then
To be
Lamar came
fair though,
out and said,
there's plenty of games last year where Russell was under 22. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. We're not going to
"Oh,
get in.
but
Fields.
Russell's not a good starting quarterback either. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying Russell's bad and Justin Fields are bad. I'm not saying Russell's a
Fair.
god. I'm just saying that Fields is not forever, and he just loves to run, and he's good at it, and it could be fun to watch sometimes because of that. But he doesn't understand pressure, and he's just not an accurate thrower of the football at all. I think I've talked myself into taking shit.
We got Sanders here.
I think I've talked myself into Sanders. I really like Tyler Warren here. I think Tyler Warren makes the most sense. But I'm gonna go with Shador. We're gonna do it. We're gonna take the Shador pill. We're gonna take the Shador pill.
Shador to the Jets at 7.
He's got to go somewhere, and I think that if he could sit behind Fields, not to learn, God, don't listen to anything that man has to say. But if he could sit behind him just to learn the scheme and to break himself into what an NFL offense looks like, I don't think that's a bad landing.
No, not at all. I mean, even if you want to do, we see it all the time where, we might see Justin Fields start the first, 5, 6, however many games, then we see Sanders take over towards the latter part of the season. Hypothetically speaking, if Sanders does go to the Jets, we can see a situation like that. Let Sanders watch a few games on the sideline, study the film, week 6, 7, Sanders, you're starting.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that kind of the argument for Shador there kind of goes against my argument with New York not taking him, but New York is just a shittier situation in my opinion. I guess they're comparable, but I think that
I somewhat deep down think some of these teams, both New York teams, possibly the Saints, here at 9. I think a lot of these teams know the quarterbacks that will be in the draft next year. So they might just be waiting a year to get,
that's also my New York theory. They want to bring Manning back. You know what I mean?
Like, there's going to be a quarterback in the draft next year that I'm sure teams are going to be wanting to get their hands all over. No Diddy.
No Diddy.
So they might just be like, we could get Sanders here. We could get Jackson Dart here. Or, we'll just take second biggest need,
and then
get second biggest need, and let's just look forward to next year.
Yeah.
All right, but our lovely Carolina Panthers here on the clock at 8.
You got the damn Panthers, son of a bitch.
And the guy I originally mocked to them is still on the board. There's a couple guys that I had mocked earlier that kind of fell a little bit, but I don't think I'm necessarily going to go in that direction with these guys. Like Mason Graham, I already had off the board. So I'm actually we got to do a little scrolling here, and this is a guy.
I hope you don't snap my Saints here because I have actually.
So
this guy here that I still have mocked.
Since our last mock, I'm doing a couple more mocks and reading up. This is a guy I kind of been falling more and more in love with as a player.
Okay.
It's linebacker / edge rusher here. Jalen Walker out of Georgia, I think would be a great fit here for Carolina. Re-signed J.C. Horn. They signed Trevon Mooring. So they really beefed up that secondary. The defense was terrible last year. So I think you just bring in another guy like Jalen Walker. Um, just keep building that defense. You know, Bryce Young, the offense came to life towards the later part of the season last year too. Just build up that defense a little better, and you're not necessarily in the best division of football, so that division up for the takings, and why not? Jalen Walker's, like I said, started to fall in love with him a little more and more since we did our last mock, and I like him here.
A guy like Jalen is cool because obviously he's listed here as a linebacker. I think what's fun, and you have to try and distinguish with these linebackers that some people may or may not know that watch them play or didn't watch them play. But Jalen Walker, as much like you said as he is a pass rushing linebacker, he is a guy that
He's
play
a field
has
goal
has
too.
has played the mic
Yeah,
more than a few times for Georgia, and he really is more of a stand up linebacker probably than a pass rusher, which for the worst defense ranked last year.
definitely
Carolina,
very good.
you need a field general on that defense, and I like Walker there. I think it
Yeah,
makes a
like
lot of
I
sense.
know last mock, I was saying like I was raving over Jahad Campbell and how I think, he might be the best linebacker, possibly best defender of this draft. But I'm starting to lean a little more Jalen Walker here over Campbell. I don't
Yeah,
know. They're like
I
one A, one B for me right now. I like them both.
I'm a person a little higher on my boy Jihad, but I like Jalen Walker. They both make sense for
Yeah,
Carolina, and you swing on Jalen and I like that for them. You didn't snipe the Saints at 9 here. I'm not going to waste any time talking about this guy too much. And you just got to help out the D line a little bit more. Obviously, quarterback, you still got Derek Carr. He wouldn't take quarterback here, but in terms of like your team as a whole, offense is okay. Aging Alvin Kamara, but you got Chris Olave. Take Mason Graham here and just don't think about it. He fell into your lap, and you just draft him. That's all
like I
I'm going to
said,
say about that.
I had Mason Graham gone about 4 picks ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Even
that
getting
he
a
could.
guy like him at 9 is a steal.
I think that he falls out of the top 5. I think that there's a very
Yeah, I
real.
mean, I could see Jacksonville going T Mac. They could definitely use a receiver. I have Jacksonville going Graham. I just think I don't know. I've just had him penciled in there since the first mock I did. It just for some reason I just see Graham going Jacksonville.
All right,
All
Chicago
right.
Bears. Your Bears are on the clock.
Lovely, lovely Chicago Bears. Did a lot of
Love the
fine tuning
Bears.
this offseason. They, beefed up the offensive line. Got some nice guys on defense. So my original mock, I did have them going Jinty here. Um,
Whoa.
yes, so I do in my mock alone, not our combined one here. I do have Chicago and JT.
Oh, I see. So that's why
Um,
you had the Raiders go. Take him
so
earlier. You
that's
couldn't
why
let
so
him
I
go.
had the Raiders having to go JT here. So doing a little pivoting here.
Yeah.
Could they still draft running back here? Do they draft like an Omarion
Marion
Hampton here?
Hampton, maybe.
Could they? Sure. It might be a little too early for that.
I think it might
Um,
be a little rich for a
it's
team
just
that
saying
needs offensive
might
line.
be
So I feel like they need a line, don't they?
it might be a little rich. I mean, I
They
mean,
traded for
do they
Tooney.
need offensive line? They signed. I
Tooney,
can't
Joe
remember
Tooney.
his name. They traded for Tooney. They traded for Jonah Jackson. They signed that guy from Atlanta last year, the center. I can't think of his name. So could they go offensive line? Sure, but I think with all the moves they already made at offensive line, they probably don't go offensive line first round, even though they very easily could. So this is where it's going to get interesting here, and I don't really know. I don't really know what we're going to do.
I have a question for you, Mr. Cody.
Sure.
Would you like to trade with the Atlanta Falcons at pick 15?
So I was just looking at the board here, seeing if we could trade back because I
Because
think this
there's a
is.
there's a player on this board right now that Atlanta has needed the past 5 years,
So
and I I could see them trading up if the board falls this way. If not, I'll put the phone back down. But
I'm kind of torn. We can make the deal there at 15. Um, there's a guy on the board here that I could see Seattle trading up to want to get because he definitely won't last and it's a big need, and I think Seattle could use this guy. For the sake of making things fun, we could we'll take the
Falcons Bears trade.
we'll take the Atlanta Falcons. All right, so yeah, so what we're gonna do here, we're gonna have our first trade, our first trade of
Falcons.
the draft here.
I have called.
Falcons are gonna move up
I have
to
called
10.
Cody.
Chicago falls to 15.
So this is my pick now,
We
right?
just force traded. We're just swapping first round picks. The finer details we're not going to worry about. But yeah, now we have Atlanta on the clock, and Jack, this will be your pick.
Okay, cool. You moved down to 15. You got the 15 spot now.
So I'll have 14, 15, and 16. I'll have 3 picks in a row. You guys are going to have to me.
Yep. Yes, you will. I think you got to be really happy if you're a Falcons fan and you see that Jahad Campbell didn't go to Carolina at pick 8 there, and you have to kind of jump some of these other teams that could potentially take. You just need to secure your guy. This is Jahad Campbell for me. I think he's the best linebacker in the draft. Another guy who's kind of a stand-up linebacker, but also a pass rusher. You could argue much, and I believe he's got a much higher upside than Jalen Walker just because of his athleticism. I mean, he's a freak. He's just twitchy, and Atlanta has needed this pick forever. Cody, you did like you sent me your last year's mock draft. You sent it in like a group chat or something, and it was you had them taking Dallas Turner. It's like they've needed to take a pass rusher in the first round.
Yeah, I mean
forever.
I think for the past, I think I saw something. The Falcons over the past, was it 3 or 4, maybe even 5 years, are 31st in pressuring the opposing quarterback. So it's definitely something that they've been lacking for years and
not good.
Haven't been addressing. So Campbell the pick here.
Campbell's my pick.
Sorry, I kind of zoned out because I'm thinking about another trade here. Not here per se.
Oh, just soon.
But in the next couple picks, I might be
okay.
I might be buzzing your line. But Jack, you're on the clock here again. Pick 11, San Francisco.
Okay. Yeah, San Francisco here. You got a couple needs. I mean, you're dropping like flies in San Francisco, man. They need help. They need help. You lose one of your corners to New York. You have an aging Trent Williams. You also have a hole at right tackle right now. I could be wrong about that, but the offensive line is probably your biggest need, in my opinion. And we're gonna go with the combine freak, Armand Membu from Missouri, tackle, to probably find a starting spot on that offensive line somewhere. If not, be the heir to the Trent Williams throne.
Too. Yeah, I mean, I think Membu is a great pick. Like you said, offensive line definitely need. And, he's generally more of a right tackle. But, you put him on the same team with Trent Williams, and maybe Trent Williams kind of teaches him how to take over that left tackle spot eventually. Who knows? But I like the pick here. All right. So here we go. Dallas Cowboys. So this is interesting.
Go a couple different directions here.
Could go a couple different directions. I think they have some needs on defense that could be addressed. However, I think their offensive needs are a little more glaring here.
You lose Zach Martin.
Zach Martin retired, so do you go offensive line? You could. However, I think Dallas, they want, exciting players. And, you did just sign 2 running backs. You got Miles Sanders and you got Javonte Williams. So I don't think they go running back here, but I do think they go receiver. And it's another guy. Well. It's another guy who had a great combine.
Breaks my heart.
Ran the fastest 40 time this year. Matt Golden, his draft stock is shooting up. Dallas likes him. I think he stays in the state of Texas. And they go give Dak a receiver 2 that they've kind of lacked the past couple of years after, Amari Cooper left. So I think you get Matt Golden, put him on the other side, CD Lamb, and see what happens there.
Breaks my damn heart. Matthew Golden is. I think that no, I don't think Matthew Golden is a top 5, likely top 3 favorite players in this draft for me. Before the combine, I think that we have it on recording. I'm not just this guy who, because he ran the
No, you
4.29.
were a big Matt Golden guy. Yeah,
Before the combine, I liked him a lot, more
sure.
than some of these other big name wide receivers. Do I think he's better than T Mac? That's a fun conversation to have there. But
It depends.
I just love Golden. He was that guy that's just so damn reliable. Every third down at Texas, every time that they needed a play, just nonchalant. Matthew Golden, boop, catch the
There he
ball.
is.
Okay, first down. And dude didn't even declare for the draft until last minute. Like he kind of just like had the playoff run. People knew his name, but the star on that offense was Isaiah Bond. He was supposed to come
Sure.
out and just be the speedy guy, be the next, you know, Xavier Worthy type of character. I'm gonna run the faster. I'm gonna break the record. It's like, dude, Isaiah Bond or Matthew Bond rather comes out and beats him.
Sure.
And people are saying that, oh yeah, but he doesn't really play that fast. Like he doesn't play like 4.29. What the hell is that even supposed to
Okay,
mean?
but he could.
Yeah, but he could. Like he just ran in front of you 4.29. Just because he doesn't, isn't 100% every single route doesn't mean that he can't pull it out of his,
Sure.
bag of tools. You know what I mean? Like wide receivers don't run 100% every single snap, every single play, because that's not how you run a route. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You slow down and accelerate, at different times to accentuate the route to get open. And Matthew Golden's great at getting open. I absolutely hate this as an Eagles fan. But
Yeah, I can
this
imagine
was
you don't like this pick at all.
this was my mock. This was my mock as well. I think that this is going to happen, and it's going to break my heart.
I think another thing a guy like Matthew Golden brings to an offense is you see a lot of NFL offense these days. They're trying to incorporate more, these kind of, and I'm not calling Matthew Golden a gadget gizmo player by any means, but he's definitely a guy you can throw, give him an end around, throw him on a screen pass, and just let him run.
Oh yeah, no,
So
the speed, dude. Well, now the
the speed
Cowboys.
alone just unlocks a whole nother level of that offense.
CeeDee Lamb is already, one of the better wide receivers in this league. If you could kind of,
Take some pressure off of him.
take some pressure off him, which that they've kind of Dallas fans I feel like have been asking for years, because he's the one guy on that offense, like the actual receiving threat on that offense. You kind of get someone to just take the spotlight away from CeeDee Lamb, and that's just a damn nightmare. Plus, you got Kevontae Turpin, who they've involved in more on that offense. That's scary.
You have Dak coming back, and like I said, Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, the running backs they just got. Not necessarily light up the stat sheet players, but I mean they're not bad. You can do much worse.
Yeah.
I mean
All right.
I imagine they probably address running back at some point in this draft, but there's it's a pretty deep draft at running back. I mean, I could see them grabbing, guy second, third round to address that need.
100%.
All right, well, Jack, you are back on the clock here. Pick 13, Miami Dolphins.
I'm back on the clock here, and God bless the fall of another Texas player that I'm higher on, I think, than most. Not that people dislike him, but I think he's closer to Armand Membu than people are kind of giving him credit for. I know there's a little bit of the injury concern, I guess, but Kelvin Banks falls to the Dolphins here. You just need to keep Tua alive and protected, and don't overthink it. And I'm going Kelvin Banks for him there.
Yeah, no, I like to pick too. Me personally, I have a mock on someone else. I have them addressing a different need, but offensive line is definitely a need. Like you said, you got to keep Tua healthy. I mean, you see what the offense looks like with Tua versus without Tua. It's like watching a whole different team.
Yeah.
Um, but here we are. So 3 picks in a row here. So a lot of airtime here for me. No, I'll keep it short. Um,
Okay. I mean, hey,
um,
this could be another chalk pick here. We got
this is going to be pretty chalk here. It's a position that Indianapolis has kind of lacked for quite a while. Um, and you still got that young quarterback, Anthony Richardson, so you may want to get him some more weapons and help. They didn't name him starter, but do you want to start Daniel Jones over him? Who knows? It probably is a chalk pick here. One of the better tight end prospects that we've had in the past couple of years. It's Tyler Warren here for me. I think it just gives that offense a whole nother dynamic. You have Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, Pittman, and Downs really came into himself last year.
yep.
You just put Tyler Warren there, just to help out whatever quarterback you end up throwing out there. Because a lot like the points that I mentioned with Carolina with a weak division, Indianapolis, you're also in a pretty weak division as well.
Yeah. You also give Anthony Richardson no excuses this
Exactly.
season. There,
Now
there's
it's,
there's
hey,
no
look,
reason why you should not perform at
exactly.
least a decent level with Tyler Warren
If
this
you have
year.
another bad year, then it kind of answers that question for you too. It's all right. You have all this, weapon. Your offensive line's good. You have all these weapons. If you're still not performing, then we got to go elsewhere.
Yep.
Do I think they could address defense here? Yes.
Yeah, I think edge is in play, but
Defense was a big. We'll say the fuck's the word I'm looking for?
they needed fucking help.
Like the defense was bad last year. We'll just say that the defense was very bad last year.
Leave it at that.
They signed a couple guys, on the defensive side to patch up the secondary a little bit. But I think this is a deep defensive class. So I think I mentioned in the first mock that we did. You're going to get some guys in the second round with first round talent defensively. I think, which I
Yep.
think Indianapolis, probably pivots. Round 2, 3, they probably do look defense. All right, I said I was going to keep it short, but let's keep going. So now we have Chicago on the board at 5. This is
Traded down.
trading back from Atlanta. So, kind of still in the same boat here. You drop 5 picks, drafting a guy like a Marion Hampton isn't as bad now. But then again, you look 2 years ago when Detroit drafted Jahmyr Gibbs at, what was it, pick 12? Or it was like top 15 pick. They drafted Gibbs, and everyone's like, well, what are they doing that for? Like, he's a late first, second round projected guy. And look what he turned into. I think 15 is far enough back in the draft to take a guy like a Marion Hampton. Not to say 10 isn't a bad spot to take
No,
him.
but you could.
It's a little
That
more
makes sense with
justified. Exactly. You
the
trade
trade
back,
down. The trade
get
down.
some
You're
extra picks.
Yeah, they're banking that he's still going to be there at 15, which he
Yeah,
is.
which more than likely the teams in front of you aren't going to take him.
Yeah.
I think with what they did, trading for 2 offensive linemen, signing one, I think this kind of allows them to go make a luxury pick, like taking a Marion Hampton here. And I mean, let's just say, as a Packer fan, if a Marion Hampton on this offense, I'm not necessarily looking forward to playing this team next year.
Yep.
Ben Johnson, great coach. Well, we haven't seen him as a head coach, but as far as offensive coordination goes, probably one of the best in the league. Year 2, Caleb Williams, you get a Marion Hampton, partner him with DeAndre Swift and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet and Roma Dunze. I mean, that offense with a now, tuned up offensive line. I mean, I think that offense, might look scary next year with Ben Johnson calling
Oh, it
plays.
will look scary.
I think,
Especially-
I think
Yeah.
it's going to. Right. And then pick 16 here, Arizona. Biggest needs here, probably offensive line and defensive line. However, secondary isn't a bad pick to go here. However, there's a guy still on the board that I already had mocked. Yeah, the guy I already had going.
Okay.
I know they just signed Josh Sweat. However, I think if you go and get a guy like Michael Williams, And like we said, with the whole Miles Garrett and Abdul Carter, go get Michael Williams, put on the other side defensive line. Get yourself two great pass rushers on that defense, and you'll be all right.
I think this is probably about his spot.
Yeah, so my original mock, I had him 15 to Atlanta.
Yeah,
My mock, I didn't do trades, so I kind of just went to pick.
got
So
you.
I had him a pick earlier.
Yeah, I mean,
This is
right
about where
there,
he goes. One of the better pass rushers in this class, and I think it fills a need for Arizona. Like I said, you got Josh Sweat, but you see a lot of teams, you know, getting two good pass rushers, one on each side. So I think getting Michael Williams here, putting him on the other side of Josh Sweat,
Mm.
um, your defensive line's pretty good there.
Yeah, 100%.
Now
All
back
right,
to you.
now back to me. Hello, I'm still here. um, the Bengals. Everyone's looking at defense, right? Geez, let's help out Joe Burrow so that he doesn't have to be on the field every down, every minute of the game, right? Keep the defense out there a little bit longer. And I'm gonna bring up a guy that I feel like most people don't really talk about in the draft. Although it is nice to see that he's now ranked as the number one linebacker on the board. And I'm going to go with South Carolina's Demetrius Knight Jr., which, who the hell is that, right? This is a linebacker that PFF had his pass coverage rate as a linebacker graded 92 point something percent, which tied for fourth among every linebacker in college football last year. He's just a big coverage linebacker that you kind of need on a defense that is just begging for help. Um, it says here he took over 570 defensive snaps, and just under 300 of those were all coverage snaps. So like this is a guy that is going to not just be like some big piece of meat linebacker that big meathead guy that just rushes at the line. Like this is a guy that could be something similar to what we were comparing Jalen Walker to as like an actual general on the defense to kind of be a captain of that defense. Not saying that he's going to come in as a rookie and be a captain,
Sure.
but be what I'm talking about.
Potential to be there.
Just be a brain on the defense to kind of actually think about coverages and not just roll over like the Bengals defense did last season. So I like Demetrius Knight there. I think he's kind of a little bit of an underrated player that not too many people, average fans, kind of know.
Sure. No, I like the pick. Here I am at 18 with Seattle. But Jack, I think I'm going to call you here. I think I want to trade back.
Call me, man.
But I'm going to call you because the team I want to trade back with has an odd numbered pick. But so I kind of want to trade you here. I'll take 18, and then you would have Seattle at the odd numbered pick. And I'm only doing this. I did not have any intention of doing this when we first started, but there's a guy on the board that's still here.
Tell me that you're going to do what I think you're going to do, dude.
So I'm going to call you up here. I'm Seattle.
Who you
Hey,
calling?
Mr. Gutekunst over there in Green Bay. How you
Oh,
doing, sir?
you're trying to get Jade off.
No. So hey, we're Seattle. We're picking here at 18. Mr. Green Bay, would you have any interest in moving up here and taking
Would
18 here?
would Green Bay the players that Green Bay would have to move up for here is corner. I mean, do you move up for? You could move up for wide receiver to jump the Broncos and to jump the Chargers if you were worried about that.
I mean, you could turn me down. It's just there's just this is more or less me there being a guy on the board that I both if this were to happen in real life, I'd love Green Bay to make this move. Um, they wouldn't, however, for the sake of this our mock draft, Just gonna give you a little ring, a little you up text.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Green Bay's
All
going to move up. They're going to secure their guy. Seattle's going to move down. They need picks. I think that
So
I think that there's a
Green
guy too
Bay.
that Seattle could probably take that they don't need to take right that will follow them.
Yeah, so there's a guy
Someone like a
where
Gray
I think
Zabel, perhaps.
you mean you're naming some names. So I think we're in agreement on who we think Seattle takes. All right, so there it is. So Green Bay has moved up to 18 in a trade with Seattle. That will move them down to 23. And you were right position wise. However, it's not Jade Barron's not the pick here. Like we mentioned last mock draft, a lot of people don't necessarily have Barron chalked in as a corner when he goes to the NFL, more safety ish of a player, which Green Bay really doesn't need. They're low at safety. However, they need a corner. And you can make the argument Travis Hunter probably the best pure corner in the draft. But this
Wait, so
guy's
is
right
this
on
your
his
is this your
tail.
pick or is this your pick or is this my pick?
Yeah, I'll take 18. You'll take 23.
Oh, okay. I see. I see. I
You
see.
see what I'm
I
saying?
see what
So we're
you're
kind of
saying.
trading picks and pick rights here.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, this guy, you could say Travis Hunter, best corner draft. This guy's right on his tail. And I think he fits into the defense better than Jade Barron will in Green Bay. A guy who I don't think will fall this far, but he did in this draft. And I think, Green Bay would love to have a guy like Will Johnson on that defense. So bring Will Johnson to Green Bay.
Yeah, you told me he's your favorite corner. He's a really deservedly so. I think it also makes sense that they would trade up for a player like that, especially with teams in division right on your ass with the Vikings,
Yeah.
who also need a corner. So you kind of trade up and make sure, okay, I'm getting my guy.
Yeah, because I mean,
Um,
you look at guys between, they traded from 23 to 18. You could say Tampa Bay could look corner.
yeah,
Um,
they could. That could.
could LA look corner? Could Pitt? I mean, all those, three of those four teams, could possibly look corner. I mean, even Seattle themselves could look corner. So I think you just trade up, bag your guy, and
I will say, as much as I like Will Johnson, I am worried. And I sort of touched on this in the first mock draft that we did, but it unfortunately got worse because as great as Will Johnson was at Michigan 2 years ago, he missed the entire second half of the uh, season in 2024. And
yeah, 6 games it's saying he played.
and okay, he missed those games, and the question was speed concerns. Okay, well, how fast is he really? Because he kind of does play a lot of kind of that like press man slot type of cornerback. That Michigan's that rugged, like what I mean. We're going to be physical. We're going to whatever. Which
Mhm.
great. I love a physical cornerback. But the question was, okay, is he going to be able to like hold up with these like NFL caliber wide receivers who could just get off that press man and turn it into a nightmare? Okay, well, let's see how he tests at the combine. He says, I'm not going to do the combine while he's still going through a turf toe, coming off the turf toe injury, and now allegedly also has a hamstring injury.
Mhm.
Okay, doesn't want to do the combine, but he's going to do his pro day. That's great. Since our last mock draft, he has completely forfeited the pro day. This man has not worked out at all, done anything in the offseason. So that doesn't mean that he can't do anything. And, you know, maybe it's all smoke and mirrors and he just, some players don't test that much, don't do much. But I just think it's like an asterisk. I'm not saying that means he's going to be a
Oh
bad
no,
player,
it's definitely an asterisk, and
but
it's definitely not a good look.
and there's a
Uh,
ton of these
but
corners that are coming off injury, like Savon
yeah,
Ravel and Benjamin Morrison, and all these like corner is just like a weird. It's kind of weird this year with injuries. So, but
yeah.
18 is
No,
definitely
and I,
not
and
too
I think
far
it's
for
more or
them.
less of a thing with players just being more cautious, and if you're dealing with a nagging injury, yeah, skipping your pro day, it stinks. You want to show up for the scouts, but also you don't want to risk hurting yourself
Yeah,
more. at the pro day. So again, I mean, is it good? Is it bad? I guess we'll have to wait and see when he's in the NFL and how he performs.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
but
mean,
Packers, you need a
you hate to
corner.
see him not participate in a pro day or the combine, but I mean, just on tape and his game reels, I mean, he's outstanding.
Yeah, Packers need a corner bad enough that you got to gamble a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and more or less like they need an outside corner, which
Mm-hmm.
majority of his snaps in college were outside corner.
Yep.
You know, then you throw Nate Hobbs in at slot.
Yep. You got
Do you
Nate
have
Hobbs now.
Jair there next year? Do you not have him with that uncertainty too? It's just nice. You know, it's more or less like an insurance pick here.
Yep. Yep.
All right, but Mr. Jack,
I got
19
19 here for
Bay.
their Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is just such. There's
Me
so many
personally,
characters
I
at
think
edge.
it's defensive.
there's so
I
many.
mean, I
There's so
think,
many characters at edge because
yeah. I mean,
how
I definitely
far?
do think this is a defensive pick. I don't think they go offense here.
No,
Like, I don't think there's any chance they go offense here.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with my guy that I've talked about in mock draft one that
Oops.
could go higher than this. This player could go higher than this, and it's funny where he's ranked on PFF here. But I'm gonna go with Shamar Stewart, the edge from Texas A&M, who destroyed the combine. Yes, there wasn't sexy numbers in sacks last year at Texas A&M, but oh my God, that defense is already solid in Tampa, especially on the line. You know, Vita Vea and
Mhm.
um, they already have some shifty outside linebackers. Still have Levante David, if I'm not mistaken. If you could allow Shamar Stewart to just be the athletic guy to win purely based off his athleticism,
Yeah.
while others control the line, the defensive line, that could be a wreck. It
Let
could
him
be an
run loose and
absolute.
open. Absolutely.
It could be an absolute wreck in Tampa Bay. I also think it's just going to be. I don't know what's going to happen with Mike Green and James Pierce. I don't know if you're seeing any of these things. Obviously, Mike Green has. I'm not sure if you've heard this or if we discussed this in the first mock draft. Mike Green,
Mike Green's a guy that I'm liking a little more too. Had a great
he's got, but
mind.
he's got some
Um,
sexual allegations against him.
oh no, I didn't see that.
Oh yeah, brother.
Oh
So
well,
for the people at home and for you, I'll just give you a quick little. I'll
you
give you a
sure
quick.
this isn't just like a Howie Roseman thing that
No,
he's going to release a statement so a
oh
player drops and he drafts them and then everyone looks like an idiot like he did with Jalen Carter?
no, because and this is kind of what's very
I didn't know that
unfortunate.
sticker though.
So Mike Green could be the best pass rusher in this draft class. I have to
He's a
look it up.
very similar build to Khalil Mack.
Yeah, and I have to see how he tested at the combine, but he's very similar to Shamar in the fact
Ignore
that
me,
he
everyone.
could win outside super easy. He's very athletic for a heavy defensive end at 250, 251, which, you know, probably average for a DN, but he's 6'3", 251, and he's moving like that. It's insane.
Jesus,
Um,
tell us.
he went to he's coming out of Marshall. He went to Virginia before he went to Marshall. Do you know why he had to leave Virginia and go to Marshall?
Does it have anything to
Because
do with these allegations similar to?
because he had a couple slaps on the wrist when he was at Virginia with sexual allegations, and it happened again, and they kicked him out,
All right, so
and that's
I
not
feel like
good.
Mike Green just can't keep it in his pants.
And Mike Green needs to lock that up. He needs a chastity belt or something, man. He needs a padlock on those jeans. Um, I'm not trying to make light of it because I really hope that. I mean, I hope that it's false. I hope nobody got taken advantage of, and it's all just rumors. And Mike Green
Yeah.
going to have a great career.
Yes, yes. Nothing,
But
nothing to joke about here. There's no
but
jokes to be made.
sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire,
Yeah,
and I think that he's going to fall pretty far because of that. I don't think he goes in the top 20. Does he go in the top
no, I don't
25?
think. I mean, I even without maybe he does. Maybe a team takes him based off the combine and what he had like 18 sacks last year or something. So a team probably you could see a top 20 team take him, but um, I think allegations not. I think he's a 20 to somewhere between 20 to 32 anyway.
And another guy, James Pierce, destroyed the combine, but he has allegations of being just a bad character, which, what does
That
that
I did
mean?
hear of,
But
like just terrible locker room guy. Yeah.
he got arrested in 2023 for disobeying police orders, which, some of these guys, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed, whatever that happens. But he's also allegedly uncoachable.
I did
I
hear
don't
that.
know,
So there's definitely concerns there.
but another guy who might fall just because of their character. So when I'm sitting there at Tampa Bay and I'm looking at edge rushers, Mike Green and James Pierce are staring me in the face. They're looking at me. They're saying, they're like the puppy dog in the window, like for their eyes. It's just
Take me
like,
home, yeah.
yeah, please, man, please, I'm good. I'm good for it. I'm good for it, man. And I'm like, I'm sorry, little one. I can't. I
I
can't do it.
can't do it. No, I know. I mean, it's
And Shamar's great too. Shamar's great. So don't
oh
pass up
yeah,
on Shamar.
yeah. I mean, you get
Times.
Shamar without the baggage, so it's nice.
Sorry, I had to go
Yeah.
on that little explanation for our
No,
other
no,
pass
no. By
rushers.
all means, I know. I didn't know about the Mike Green thing, so
Yeah, keep that
I
in your
did look
back
into it.
pocket. We'll see what happens with
Um,
that.
but we do got some breaking news as we are recording here. Buffalo Bills have extended corner Christian Benford to a 4 year, $76 million deal. So
Wow.
there you go. Some news here for you. All right, here we are, pick 20, Denver Broncos. So I almost called you up before as the Denver Broncos to trade up here, but we didn't. The guy I would have liked to see Denver take did get drafted, so maybe we should have traded up. However, that's okay. We'll just go to our second option here. I mean, it's going to be, this pick has to be offense. You had the best defense last year. You didn't really lose anyone, so you're still good there. And if anything, you actually signed a nice few pieces on defense. So as Denver, I would have loved to trade up, maybe see Omari and Hampton in Denver because that running back room isn't looking great. However, the receiving room doesn't look great either. So here, I mean, let's just look and see the running backs here that are still available. You're not really taking any of these guys at 20. At least I'm not. None of these
Probably not.
guys. I don't think any of these guys are really first round talent here.
I think we could see 3 running backs in the first round, though.
You could. I mean, you definitely could.
It's not totally
It's
out of
not.
play.
It's not out of play. Just for me, none of these running backs here.
I don't
Like I
think
said,
that
unless there's a team. I mean, there's not really any
I
team
don't think
here
Sean
that
sits there at 20 and likes the running backs more than another position.
exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of running back, we're gonna go receiver, and there's two. I could make the case maybe 3 first round talent guys here. However, we're gonna go with Mecca Igbuka here. You give Bo Nix an extra target to throw to. Cortland Sutton, great. He can only do so much. I know Denver has a couple young receivers. Troy Franklin. You got Marvin Mims. You got a couple guys that have the potential to maybe step up. Would be that number 2. However, Emeka Ibuka here at 20. I mean, it just seems like the right pick. It's a great fit. Maybe before signing Evan Ingram, do you maybe look at like Colson Loveland here, potentially? But I think with the signing of Ingram, you're not going tight end because Denver's tight end room last year was the worst in the league. But you get Ingram, you have Sutton, now you have Ibuka. I mean, you just gave Bo Nix, 3 great targets.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of concerns too, player that I wasn't sure if you were going to take, and I'm not sure if you noticed that he's just been falling in mock drafts in general.
The Luther Burden.
Luther
Yeah,
Burden.
I heard
Yeah,
he's pretty uncoachable too.
yeah. I see. I'm hearing kind of not so much uncoachable as much as he has like the crazy girlfriend, crazy mom type deal where, his girlfriend's his manager and his mom is like very like protective and tries to like take control. And I, does that make any difference when he's on there on third down catching footballs? No, but I don't know. Some of the stuff is crazy, and
Yeah.
where do they pull
I
it
mean, I don't
from?
think that probably won't hurt him too much. But I
But
thought I heard something like he's like a diva too, almost.
and
Like
maybe he is. I don't. I've never
I
met
mean,
Mr. Jordan.
regardless, even without, I mean, I like Ibuka better than Burden anyway. So I
Yeah,
think Burden's gonna be a great player
I think
wherever
Sean.
he goes. I think Burden will be a great, great player. I just like Ibuka a little more. I think.
Yeah, I think Sean probably likes Emeka
I mean, let me
more
see.
anyway.
Ibuka,
A much more polished route runner, which I'm
yeah,
sure you've never
6'1",
heard someone
205.
say
Put
that
him on the other side of.
Ohio State wide receivers are great route runners.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. I mean, Ohio State wide receivers, you can't really miss on them.
No, you cannot. And you've let me have this pick 21 here, haven't you?
This is you.
You've
So
let me have this, haven't you?
I'll let you pick, and then I'm gonna. I kind of have a.
You got a spiel?
I have 2 cents
I
to
have.
throw on this pick, but I'm gonna let you have the floor and make your pick first, and then
I'm gonna acknowledge the
I'll
elephant in the
say.
room right now and say this is not Jackson Dart for me, and I'm gonna tell you why. There's two reasons why it's not Jackson Dart. One of them is Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't mean he's not there yet. He's not there yet. But the other reason is Jahdae Barron's right there. He's right there.
Yeah,
You want to talk about a puppy dog looking at you in the window? I mean,
for sure.
I mean, he's right there. And how much help do they need at corner? I mean, you signed Darius Slay, who I think could still play
Yeah.
as an Eagles fan. I mean,
What do
he
you
just
mean
got a ring.
he probably only has a year, maybe two
He's
left.
only got a year. You could use a little bit help. Back it says that they need help at safety. I'm trying to think of who their other safety is
I
outside
know they
of.
have Minka Fitzpatrick. I don't know the other safety. I have no idea.
So Jahdae Barron is not afraid of dropping back there, and you could put him at safety. You could put him at slot corner. He could. He's another guy who wasn't supposed to run that fast at the combine, and look, he's just a big, beefy, tackle support corner, and he runs in the 4.3s, I think. So maybe he can play outside. Maybe he can sit behind, big play Slay and teach him a thing or two, and then he could go and become the next CB2. I'm gonna take Jahdae Barron, man. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna wait on quarterback, and I do think that Aaron Rodgers he has to go to Pittsburgh, right? Or else he's gonna go.
You would think. Well, I also heard he's contemplating sitting the year out, which doesn't make sense because no one's going to sign you. If no one's going to sign you this year, no one's signing you next year. My 2 cents though for this, and I don't remember exactly how long ago it was. Say 3-4 weeks ago, we did our last mock draft.
Yep.
I did have Jackson Dart going there, and it was kind of like a fun pick. Ha ha ha.
It's not out of the conversation.
However, and I don't know if I started a trend or if I just didn't see this happening more often before making that pick, but I swear
you did. No,
we did that. We did that mock draft, and then I would go and read mock drafts.
Everyone had
them. And I see a whole ton of them. Jackson Dart 21 in Pittsburgh.
You called it.
I'm saying I don't know. I'm not saying. I'm just saying it was all fun. It was funny, laughy, ha ha at first, but
where do you think the insiders get their information
from? I must
from?
have started the trend, man.
The insiders get their information from us. Let's be real.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so they see Cody going with Jackson Dart at 21.
Oh,
everyone's got it now.
I'm just saying. I think I may have started that trend.
Cody, I'm not gonna lie. I noticed that, and it was hilarious.
I didn't want to say anything because I knew we had this mock draft coming up, so I wasn't going to say anything until now. So I had my 2 cents out there.
It's becoming very real. I don't think it's outside the conversation for them. I just think that if they do get Aaron, and
if they get Aaron Rodgers,
defense
they probably
more,
don't take Jackson Dart.
You could, but
however, I'm hearing Jackson Dart could go as early as 7 to New York and 9 to the Saints. So
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, me either. But
who knows? So, maybe the Saints, but I don't know.
This one we don't really have to talk much about. It's literally going to be the same exact pick as our first mock. Um,
The Michigan
one,
Michelin man.
yeah, I mean, one, it fills a huge hole, and two, it's a Harbaugh guy. I mean, I don't really know what more there is to say. It just seems like Loveland, if he's there, and the Chargers on the clock at 22, it just seems like a no-brainer. That's the pick. Michigan, like we said, Michigan guy, Harbaugh guy. He just fits. It just makes so much sense for him to go there.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. And Harbaugh gets his boy.
Exactly.
Seattle here, 23. They traded down with Green Bay so that Green Bay can go up and get their corner, Will Johnson. And we talked about, you really want to address guard or anything on that offensive line, really. However, I think it's funny that they also potentially need center. I think that is what makes you lean towards Gray Zabel, who could be
Mhm.
that versatile piece for you on the offensive line. And I guess we're gonna do it. We traded down and you got Gray Zabel. I,
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
mean
Tyler
that'd be
Booker's.
my pick too.
I don't think Tyler Booker's outside of the realm of possibility, but a guy that you can move around that
Yeah,
could.
yeah, I think Zabel or Booker are definitely the pick there.
Yeah, well, Zabel
And
probably
it
makes
works
the most
out.
sense.
Seattle trades back, gets their guy, and yeah, I mean definitely probably their biggest need is interior offensive line.
Depending
Um,
on how the tackles shape up, too, my other mock I had Zabel going at 13, which I don't know if that's super high, but if
I mean,
guys like
yeah,
Will Campbell, Kelvin Banks, Armand Membu go
are all
in the
going
top
early. I mean, yeah.
10, right outside the top 10, like in Miami sitting
Oh,
there,
you can
like
definitely see a guy like Zabel getting picked, in the teens.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely the scenario where Seattle stays put and just takes Zabel at 18.
yeah, and the GM for Seattle has come out and said that they don't value taking interior offensive line in the first draft. But what the hell are you going to do when Sam Darnold is sitting there in third down and your entire offense is just bending
Yeah, a
over?
lot of people are mocking a receiver to Seattle.
Which I don't think is insane either. But
No, yeah, it
I
makes
mean,
sense,
you
but I
have
mean, you have JSN. I mean, you haven't aged, out of prime Cooper Cup, but I mean, it just interior offensive line is such a bigger need than your receivers at this point. You can you get a receiver second round.
yeah.
There'll be plenty of there'll be plenty of them sitting there in the second round.
Yeah, I think it's funny that PFF has Grisable listed as a tackle too. Actually, not that he can't play tackle, but like it's just I think that's kind of interesting. I
Mhm.
guess it shows how versatile the guy is. You just plug him in wherever you want. You need help
Yeah,
at right tackle.
I
You need help
mean,
at guard. You want to make you need a new
yeah, I mean,
center.
let's
All
just
right,
see.
there you go.
Let's pull him up real quick because it breaks down. I mean, last year he played. It looks like all snaps were at left tackle, but the year before that he, played right tackle, left guard. You see a couple snaps there at right guard.
Yeah,
The year
the
before that,
review on
you had left guard, center, right tackle. I mean, yeah, you can put him anywhere. So, all right, here, pick 24, Minnesota. I realized I'm going to be drafting for every NFC North team. Looking at the board
your
here.
boys. Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you
but I
traded up with
mean,
the trade. It weren't originally,
so
but you had the Packers
it's
trade.
true. It was via trade I was able
Yeah,
to. But
yeah. Luke
Minnesota, you're
Jacobson.
sitting here. PFF has need of running back, defensive interior, defensive back. Like I said, I'm not going to take a running back here. I don't think the value's there. Plus, you just traded for Jordan Mason. You still have Aaron Jones. So you probably don't have to reach on a running back with those two
No,
guys. So we're definitely going to pivot
I'm thinking.
defensively.
Yeah.
And in my personal mock, this guy was off the board 10 picks ago. And he just fell into your lap. Here's Minnesota. It's probably the third Georgia player I'm drafting today. But I mean, you're looking, like you said, the puppy dog in the window. I mean, you're looking there at Minnesota. You see Malachi Starks on the
Oh
board.
wow.
I don't think there's any scenario, if that's the case, you don't take him.
I I think that you really had to be eyeing down Kenneth Grant, who's somehow still on the board too.
So
He's
though
kind of
I
defensive
was looking at the
interior,
board.
but
I was between the two. I was between Starks and Grant. But like I
yeah,
said, I think I have. Let me look at my mock. I have Starks going.
Starks has to go in the first round somewhere. You have to figure. I
Yeah,
mean,
I have Starks 13th to Miami. So the fact that he falls
wow.
11 more spots, I mean, it just seems like a no brainer.
I
here.
had Starks fall a little bit more in my first one. I
See,
did.
I have Starks at 13, so getting him 11 picks later here. One, it fills a need, and you can make the case he's the best safety in the draft. So
Yeah. I'm not going to waste any time at 25. You made this pick in the mock draft 1.0 we did. I think it's just too fun. The Ohio State connection. Um, they have no one on offensive line. There's air blocking CJ Stroud right now. There's literally just air blocking him.
yeah, I don't know what
Uh,
they had one of the worst offensive lines, and then proceeded to trade away two of
all
their
everything they had.
best.
They said, let's just clear it out.
Let's just get
Um,
rid of them all.
this could. I'm gonna pick up the phone.
Okay, let's hear it.
I'm gonna pick up the phone because there's a player that is really, 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 really good on the board that might not be there in 5 picks to a team that needs edge. And I think you could argue that Houston is in this. You just said it. They're literally cleaning house. They had no one in the house, but they're cleaning it. Um,
As far as
and
offensive line goes, yeah, they got nobody there.
why would that trend stop during the draft? I think a trade down. I don't want to say it's likely, but it could for sure happen because you have so many holes to fill.
Sure.
I mean, you
Yeah.
got more holes than a
Sure.
Swiss. You have more holes than a Swiss cheese factory. I mean, it's bad in Houston. It's not fun to trade down, but I think that you could potentially get a player uh, at 29 that you could at 25,
Washington.
and the Washington Commanders are going to trade up to get a player that might not be there at 29 that they want to make sure that they could get.
Yeah.
They're going to roll the dice on that. They're going to do it because they're in a division that you have to be able to pass rush. You have to be able to defensive line, be able to pass against whatever the hell their crazy dynamic offense is going to be this year. I think the Cowboys have a better year this year. I really do. You got to you need to become what Philly is. You need help in the trenches on the outside there, and they got to take Mike Green. What's going to happen with his allegations? I don't know. I don't. I think he falls. I still don't think he falls out of the first round, though. Someone is going to have to gamble on him because of just how good of a prospect he is when he's
Sure.
on the field, regardless of what the hell he's doing, taking his jeans off. Uh, on Saturdays or whatever the hell he's doing. But I don't know. Clean it up, Mike.
Clean it up. All right, let's see. So I'm gonna go. So I have LA here. Could they trade back here and let another team trade up? Because I think the guy that I actually have them mocking is still on the board. That you could probably get later, but I don't really know out of the teams here who trades up necessarily.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably just a
Um,
stick and pick. You'd have to think,
yeah, so I mean,
especially because they have a couple holes too, man.
yeah, like I said, I think you could probably trade back at this guy, but it's another guy that I've came to. I'm actually just make it easy on myself. Another guy that I've been liking a lot more coming out of this draft. And it's nice because in my original mock, it's who I had him taken. It's not Amos, it's not Ravel, but it's actually going to be Azari Thomas out of Florida State.
Okay,
I'm just going to bring him up here quick.
Azariah Thomas,
Yeah, because I mean, even look like he's mainly true corner, some
physical
snaps
corner,
on the D line and the
big,
slot.
yeah, slot
Passer
corner.
rating against has improved every year. Like 2023, 89.2 down to 50.2. I think he's taller too. He's like 6'2". So he could
He's also almost
match.
200 pounds.
Yeah, so big corner.
He's
And
one
it's
of
not
the
like
heavier.
he's quick too. Like he's not like just because he's big, he's slow. Like he's quick. So I mean, like he's going to match up with all these tall receivers. I don't know. It's just a guy I like him, man. I don't know what it is about him, but it's a guy that like you said, doing more mocks and reading more about these players, it's a guy that I just have become fond of over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I
And
think
looking at an LA, it just, the pick to me here is probably defense. But your defensive line's good. Linebacker at this point, I mean, you could probably go that, what's that guy's name out of UCLA? Like, he's a solid, you could probably, Carson Schwezinger.
Preston
Maybe,
Schwessinger in play. Yeah,
yeah, maybe you take him there, but, you know, is his value, pick 26? Who knows? Maybe it is. But I think corner's a bigger need for LA anyway. Um, and out of the corners that are left, I mean, let's pull him back up. I mean, he might be my favorite corner that's left on the board.
especially
Like
for
I know
LA.
Amo. I know a lot of people like Amos. A lot of people. I know you like Ravel. I like Ravel
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Ravel,
But
unfortunately,
I
he's got
think
that scary injury
I
stuff
like
too,
Thomas more than I think I like the rest of these guys. Um,
especially
he'd
for
probably
LA.
be my best available corner here. So that's my justification.
Um, I like that pick. I
Yeah,
like when we get to
I
talk
just
about
like
players that aren't chalk.
yeah, yeah. I like the non-chalk picks. But you have Baltimore here, which could be an interesting one.
Yeah, you need edge. He signed Ronnie Staley. That's the offensive lineman, right? Ronnie Staley
Yeah.
back. I had them originally mocking the fall of Malachi Starks, but there's another safety here that some people think is actually better than him, which he is awesome. He's
Yeah.
freaking awesome. I think he could easily find his way in the first round. Do I think he's
I
better than
think
Malachi?
if it's the same guy, I think you're thinking of, he's absolutely first round pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with South Carolina's Nicky Manwari. I think that kind of allows you to use Kyle Hamilton in his original role again because the Ravens had Kyle Hamilton originally playing at that free safety role. Basically, drafting Nicky Manwari allows Kyle Hamilton to kind of be the Kyle Hamilton that you want instead of just being like, babysitting all the DBs back there. Now you could have two playmakers that you trust. I know you need
He's a
help at
lot
the
like
edge.
Kyle Hamilton too. So you
I don't,
basically would have two Kyle Hamiltons
I
back
don't,
there at safety.
yeah, yeah, both very, I think Nicky Moore might be a little bit, faster, a little bit more twitchy safety. Not that Kyle
Yeah,
Hamilton's slow, but I don't think a guy like Donovan Ezra who's also out of the conversation. I know they need edge, but
absolutely.
Nicky Manwari is just a freak. He has to get in the first round. And I think it makes sense for the Ravens.
All right. So finishing off my NFC North picks here. So this Detroit one, when I did my original mock, the guy I had them taken. No, he is gone. So it's
He's
tough. I don't
gone,
know where to go
and
here.
he's gone,
So, well, I mean,
and it's gone.
there's guys I could take in place of him. Actually, I had Shamar Stewart going here, so I had Shamar Stewart dropping a little bit more than you did.
Yep.
But it's interesting here.
Yeah.
Do Detroit, you probably go defense here because your defense was your weaker part of the team last year. Could you use offensive line? Sure. Your offensive linemen are getting a little older as far, on the interior there. But I think that's a need you could address later. So I do think they go defense. Um,
hmm
and, I know we talked about, some of the issues this guy may have, but the potential's all there. And if you, get this guy at his full potential and you mix him with a coach like Dan Campbell, where it's going to be, hey, listen, buddy, you're playing, don't give me no bullshit or you're going to be out on the street. I think Dan Campbell would be a great coach for James Pierce. He says he's uncoachable. James Pierce is one of the, or not James Pierce, Dan Campbell is one of those guys like, hey, I'm not going to take your bullshit. So it's either you shut up and play football or, see you later, buddy. So I think Detroit, why not take a chance on him?
Yeah, that was my mock exactly as well. I think it's got to be scary too. You just imagine Aiden Hutchinson He's kind of that
Exactly.
thunder. Now James Pierce is the lightning on the other side. That's kind of insane.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I was torn between James Pierce here and Kenneth Grant, but I think because you have a Lee McNeil still on the interior there in Detroit, who I think's a great interior lineman. Um, Go get James Pierce because who knows what Hutchinson looks like when he first comes back. Maybe he's a little rusty and shaky. But again, let James Pierce learn under Hutchinson. Let fucking Dan Campbell smack him around a bit. Be like, listen, you're fucking listening to me, or you're finding the job.
yeah, I also, I mean, Detroit has had their fair share of characters in the locker room with Jamison Williams and the like,
Person knows. I mean,
So
you can look 10 years
so they're not
down.
afraid of a troublemaker, just
Yeah,
like
I mean, the Ndamukong sued too. So
doing
I mean,
fuck
I know
shit.
that you've had
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
Nothing to the other
whatever,
one. It's Detroit
welcome.
too. It's not like the fans are gonna care.
Yeah, they're driving Fords and and drinking beer. They're just, who cares if if you're gambling or
Yeah,
or doing
whatever.
whatever. Houston traded down here. I got pick 29, Houston. You know, I almost pulled the trigger earlier on Josh Simmons, and has been our chalk pick, and I like the Ohio State connection a lot.
Sure.
I'm gonna go off the beaten path a little bit
All right.
and say that maybe they're scared of Josh Simmons' injury because he had a torn patellar tendon. Let's not forget.
Sure.
It's kind of scary. Is he going to be medically cleared to do whatever and blah blah? Yeah, I'm sure, and he's going to whatever. He went under surgery for it. Reportedly making like really fast recovery, which is great. Good for Mr. Simmons. I hope everything's good. But we're going to say that Houston's too scared to roll the dice on the Ohio State tackle, and they're going to go with another really good tackle. But they're going to take Josh Connolly Jr. from Oregon instead to kind of help repair that offensive
Sure.
line.
No, it's a good pick. I mean, the offensive line is definitely the need there.
And definitely, especially a guy like Josh Connolly, not that Josh Simmons can't pass block, but Josh Connolly being that primarily pass blocking tackle, that's what you want, I think, in Houston with protecting CJ Stroud on passing downs to kind of start to repair that offensive line.
All right, so now we're on the clock, 30 here. Buffalo. We just got the news earlier, just extended their one corner. So do they go corner here? Who do I have them originally mocking? I think I do have them. So I do have them mocking a corner. Which even with that extension of their Christian Benford.
Whoever the hell that is.
Yeah. I still don't think corner's out of play here. So, I mean, you could go edge. I mean, Donovan Ezaraiku's still here. Could you go interior defensive line? Go Kenneth Grant. You see his name still here. You're going to look forward to playing the Chiefs again in the playoffs. You're probably going to play Baltimore again at some point. You're probably going to need more secondary help than you would, maybe a defensive line help. So I'm going to go with the guy I originally had mocking, and Trey Amos is the pick here. Probably the best available corner left on the board. Fills a need. And I think if you're Buffalo, you're happy with that pick.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're playing the AFC, so come playoff time, you're playing Mahomes, Lamar, possibly Burrow. I mean, you're playing all these guys that could just sling it. So having a solid corner there, not a bad pick.
Yeah, I think shout out to our biggest fan, Mr. Jake the Snake, too. I think regardless of the Notre Dame connection, I think this could be the start of where someone wants to gamble on a guy like Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame.
Sure, Morrison. I mean, I even like Xavier Watts too, the safety out of Notre Dame.
Yeah. Oh, I like Watts a lot.
I think I'm a little higher on him than most.
I don't think that the Bills go for a guy like Watts there, but
Yeah.
when you're looking at corner, especially because you extended, you CB2 already, that might give you a little bit of leverage to say, okay, we know Benjamin Morrison had a hip injury and had hip surgery. I think he had hip surgery. It's a crazy. A cornerback, if Benjamin Morrison comes back from this hip injury, it's going to be awesome for Ben Morrison. Like, hell yeah, good for you,
Mhm.
brother. But it's also going to be hilarious because he just falls so hard. But the Bills might be able to look at their situation and say, okay, is their corner, is their second cornerback really like that good? No, he's not. Like, you're probably not super confident with him, but you need DBs, and I think 30. You're at the end of the first round. You know what I mean? This is it. You know what I mean? GM's also not afraid of trading down. Maybe trade down. Maybe say,
No,
okay,
you could definitely trade down. I
you
mean,
trade down
yeah,
and we'll gamble on a guy like, you know, Morrison, a little bit later, whatever. I think that
I like
that's
that
that's
Hairston guy
possible.
out of Kentucky too. I think he could be
Yeah.
solid.
Yeah, he
Um,
could. I have him
I'm
going.
pretty big
I
on
have
him
him.
too.
Yeah, I think he goes somewhere near the end of the first round as well. But the Chiefs are on the clock. Let's stop talking about the Buffalo Bills now. The headline is offensive line after the Super Bowl. Um,
Yeah, I mean, they're
I
still pretty good.
there's so many players that fell. Like, I'm looking at this board now.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
know.
feel like I feel like Kenneth Grant had to have gone. Even like a guy like Walter Nolan. Like,
Grant, Nolan, Ezeraiku, Scorin. I
yeah,
mean, Luther Burden's still here too. I mean,
yeah. I don't
Kylan
think
Tucker.
I
I
don't think
mean,
the Chiefs would be so bold to take a wide receiver here. I mean,
I
what's
don't
going to
think
happen
they
with
go
what's going to
receiver here.
happen with Rice? You know what I mean? You have Xavier
Yeah,
Worthy, who looked really
you'll get
good.
Rice back. You'll get Worthy. I mean, I think they re-signed Hollywood Brown too, so you probably
I
don't
know,
go receiver here first round.
I know
Kelsey,
you.
Kelsey another year.
I know
But
you need
besides,
offensive line.
offensive line is the glaring need here.
I know you need
You
offensive
just lost
line.
Toomey, so
I'm gonna continue the Josh Simmons fall and say that they don't gamble on him here, and that they instead punt offensive line for down the board, and they look at a player that somehow managed to fall to them at the end of the first round, and you take Kenneth Grant. And you just plug him in. You allow, you know, you got aging Chris Jones. You got Karloftis on the edge. I think Kenneth Grant is kind of just one of the BPA's best players available sitting here,
sure. Oh,
and they
absolutely.
need help on the D line. You know what I mean? They could fill it out a little bit better. They didn't have any. People like to look at the Super Bowl and say, "Wow, their offensive line was trash." And while that is true, they also had a guard playing tackle because of an injury, so keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And as much as their offensive line was trash, their pass rush was also trash. So
Yeah.
you could kind of look at, was one worse than the other? Yeah, probably the offensive line was probably a little bit worse than the pass rush, but Kenneth Grant's sitting right there. Just take him. You know what I'm saying? I have him going much higher than this. So you get him at 31. You know,
Great value.
yeah, PFF has him graded as 17 on their big board. You get him at
Yeah.
31. Holy shit.
Oh, it's a yeah, absolutely great pick.
I think he could
because they
also
think Chris
he's
Jones getting
also
older, so
he's also kind of a hot take, controversial. I like Kenneth Grant more than Mason Graham. Like, I think that Kenneth Grant
the
could be
argument
the
could be
best.
made. I
I
think
think
Mason Graham is.
I
I
think
think
that
he.
I think Grant could
I think
could
he's better, but I mean, I could definitely see the argument being made why Kenneth Grant, better than Mason Graham.
he's just, I don't know. And it's hard, like, when you're watching guys like that in college on such a, like, they're both good players, like, okay, which one is helping the other one out? You know what I
Sure.
mean? Because offensive lines are going to become cross-eyed, looking at, okay, am I supposed to block Mason? Am I supposed to block Grant? What am I supposed to do? And typically what happens is one usually opens up the other in some way. Not all the time, but oftentimes one gets the extra blocks and the other guy gets to eat for free. What's going to happen? Who knows? Mason Graham's going to come out and be a Hall of Famer, and I'm going to eat my words, and that's
I
fine.
mean,
Good
yeah,
for
I mean,
Mason
you never
Graham.
know. Like
But
I said, with the whole, You
Not that
know,
Mason Graham's bad. I really
no,
think Kenneth Grant's like this. Like
it's a little better.
I don't think he
Hey,
gets enough
I'm
credit.
not going to argue with you. I'm Graham over Grant, but I'm not going to be like, oh, you're so stupid for thinking Kenneth Grant's better. Like,
Yeah,
no,
marginally. I think that he. I think I'm not saying that he's like outright better than Graham, but I think that like if I was a team and I had to either take Mason Graham at 5 or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can get
Grant
Kenneth
at
Grant
31. Yeah,
at 20, then I'll
yeah,
I'll 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 sit there happy and take
sure.
Grant at 20. You know what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. All right. Well, to wrap things up, I get to pick for your Eagles here.
Let's hear it. I'm not gonna say a word.
And the thing is, do I want to make a logical pick here? Do I want to make a fun pick here? What do I want to do? Do we want to end on a bang? How do we want to do this? Like we talked about it for the past couple of picks now. Josh Simmons, whatever you want to say, still on the board. Howie's not afraid of taking risk on players. They don't really need a tackle though. If they did need offensive line, you probably need more something interior. You just lost Mekhi Becton, who was their starting right guard. So you probably need to look more interior because you still have Dickerson and Mailata at tackle, so you're good there. So I don't think Simmons is the pick there.
I
Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
no, go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something. You're also looking
I
at a
was
guy you
gonna, but
see.
I want to hear what you have to say. Just
I'm just gonna rattle you because I don't really know where I
don't.
want to go. So I'm hoping in my rattling, it kind of like, all right, this is where we're gonna go.
Well, can I plant a seed? I won't say a team or anything, but can I plant a seed?
Sure, go right ahead. I'm open to suggestions here. I mean, it's the last pick. Let's play around. Let's see what we got.
Eagles already got a really good roster. If I had a
Yes.
bet, they probably stick and pick. They need a guard if they don't end up getting one, signing one, whatever. They
Yeah,
need to fill
which
out guard.
there's a guy still on the board
I
that
think they
I
still
may
need
lean.
edge. I think they still need edge. I really like Donovan Ezraku. The
Yeah,
DEDE is staring at me in the face, and I love Ezraku. Had the second most sacks in college football last year. He's fucking awesome.
yeah, no. I'm thinking here, edge and guard are where my head is.
But that's not the seed.
Oh,
No one took Jackson Dart. Would a team trade up for 32 to take Jackson Dart? Or do the Eagles
so
say, I don't care. I want to take my edge. I want to take my guard or whatever player you end up taking, third wide receiver, whatever, Luther Burden's still there. But I'm just going to plant the Jackson Dart seed and say, maybe a team pulls a Baltimore Ravens, and trades up to the last pick to get a guy, maybe to sit on the bench for a year. Maybe it's the
you know
Raiders.
what?
Maybe it's
You know
maybe it's
what,
the,
Jack? I think you did plant a seed. Let's look at round two.
or maybe they stick a pick. I just wanted to throw that idea out because
I don't know if the Raiders would with, you have Geno. I don't think they make that move. I think maybe they just wait to see if he falls to 37 and take him there.
we're sticking and picking.
So I'm between two here. I'm between
Or
Philly.
maybe a team trades up for Luther Burden. A team that needs a wide receiver. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you could trade up Luther Burden. You could trade up for, maybe a team sees Simmons on the board and is like, oh, let me move up and get him. Why don't we make some? Why don't we spice it up here a bit?
all right,
We're gonna spice it up here. Oh, that's not what
we're
I'm
gonna
trying
have
to.
the Eagles draft Jalen Miller.
Yeah, so we're actually
we're
so
actually
so so Philly is gonna get a call here because Philly, very good roster. They don't really, could use an edge, could use a guard, you know, but overall they have a great roster.
picking up the phone.
Have a ton of compensatory picks. You know,
Compensatory.
so I mean, like they don't need this pick. So why don't you trade down, get a couple more? And the team we're gonna have trade up is a team we mentioned that might need a quarterback. I think the New Orleans Saints get on the phone and they say, "Hey Philly, here's pick 40 and here's whatever other picks."
Spice
I
it
think
up.
the
Make it
Saints,
worth their while to trade up for a quarterback. I'm sure.
yeah, because I mean at this point, you're not trading if you're going to trade up in the first round, if you were the Saints, you're paying a bit. At this point, you're probably not paying as much. And, you're going to leapfrog teams like the Browns who potentially take a quarterback here, the Giants who potentially take a quarterback,
Yeah.
the Raiders who potentially take a quarterback. So you're jumping a
Yep.
couple teams who might take a quarterback. So that's where we're
And
going to the New Orleans Saints.
there's a
We're going to have
quarterback
them trade
still
up,
there.
and we're going to go get them. Jackson Dart rounds out our first round here. What a trade with Philadelphia. And they
Wow.
take Jackson Dart at 32.
What a damn
And
mock
there it
draft.
is. For
The
everyone to
fall of
see.
the
We
fall
got
of
we had a
Kenneth
couple
Grant.
falls. We had a
The
couple
fall
guys
of
go early.
the fall of
Some
Kenneth Grant will haunt my nightmares.
Kenneth Grant fell pretty far here. Malachi Starks fell a little bit. Jade Barron, you could say, fell a little bit. Will Johnson maybe fell a little bit. But you have a couple guys that may win a little early. Like, did Janty go too early? Did Shador Sanders, did he go too early? Did he go too late? You
Mm.
know, Omarion Hampton, was that a reach there?
I like the trade down for Amarian. I think that's ideal for the Bears. I think
I think if it goes this way and JT's gone, I fully believe the Bears trade back.
okay.
Or they trade up with, maybe, they call New England like, hey, you know, we hear you don't really have a game plan at 4. You're just going to take best available, or, you don't, whatever you're going to do there. Let us move up to 4. I think Chicago, as much as I, hate
Well,
to talk about
so
Chicago and what
what
they're
do you think they
doing, but
take
I
up?
think
What do you
to
think they
this
take?
point, Chicago has had such a good offseason. I think they are fully in control of how aggressive they want to be.
And I
Whether
think
that's
it's also scary uh, when a team is able to draft a running back in the first round, in my opinion,
well,
because
yeah, listen, because
it means that you've covered all other bases
yeah, I
in
mean
a
their defense
position.
defense is fine. They don't really have any glaring need on defense. Maybe defensive line. So maybe Kenneth Grant wouldn't fall that far. Maybe they take maybe they take Kenneth Grant there. But I mean, when you really look at that team, I mean, yeah, you have DeAndre Swift, but DeAndre Swift, he's on his third NFL team already for a reason. Like, he's not that great of a player. So if you pair DeAndre Swift with Marion Hampton there, like I said, I hate to say it as a Green Bay fan, but Chicago's up to this point having a good offseason. And depending what they do in the draft, I mean,
Chicago could trade up for Ashton GT.
that's what I'm saying. They could call it New England, be like, hey,
That's
call
very.
up
I
Jackson.
did,
They can call up, be like, hey, you guys, maybe don't have a plan for this pick, or your
especially
guy can
Jacksonville.
fall here.
Yeah,
I mean, I think most realistically, I think call it New England, because in my mock draft, I don't have. I think I have Will Campbell. I don't even think I have Will Campbell top 10. I have Will
really.
Campbell. I have Will Campbell 11 to San Francisco. So
Mm.
if I'm New England and if I can trade back from 4 to 10, still get Will Campbell, that's a win. And if I'm
I
Chicago
mean,
and
even if you don't get
I
Will,
trade up to
you get a guy like Membo, or you know what I
Membo
mean. Like,
or
what are you?
yeah,
You're not upset. Yeah,
no, not at all. But I mean,
yeah,
if you can trade back 6 spots and get a guy like Campbell, Membo, whoever it may be, Calvin Banks Jr. I think you're doing all right.
yeah.
And then the Bears trade up, get their guy because, I don't personally think the Raiders are going to take JT. However, they may.
They very well could, man. I mean, like,
I mean, they did in here in this mock. I mocked them here, but I think McMillan's the pick. I don't think like I said,
they got sniped.
I have Graham going. So I have McMillan fall into Las Vegas, but it's interesting to see. We're less than a month now away, and I'm sure if we were to do a mock 2 days from now, some of these picks are not going to be the picks we just made today.
No, well, that's why we'll see about running a third, or at the very least, we discussed we're each going to do our own.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like our draft there, Jack. I think we did a pretty good job.
It was good. It was definitely Interesting draft. I'm gonna be rolling in my sleep thinking about Kenneth Grant, especially for the Chiefs. Like,
And he fell.
don't
I mean,
don't
he
go to the
fell,
Chiefs.
and yeah, I
Anywhere
mean
but the
that's a great
Chiefs.
value there.
All
That's,
right, my man. We can say goodbye to the lovely people.
goodbye, lovely people.